Hello YouTubers. Well, I'm in the middle of some filtration here of a blue liquid. And where this liquid's coming from is out of this 5-gallon bucket, which, I don't know if it's showing up on the camera, it's dark down in the bucket. But there's a whole lot of IC chip debris down there that I've been doing an initial extraction of the base metals on with a mixture of sodium nitrate and sulfuric acid. So I'm decanting this liquid off and filtering it. And what I'm going to do with this liquid once it's nice and clean and filtered, which is going to take a while. Let's go through the funnel really slowly. I'm starting to wonder if my vacuum pump is working all that well. But once I get this liquid filtered, what I'm going to try and do is cement the silver out of it with copper. And I tried this on a small scale and it worked really well, and I got a little button of silver. Let me show that to you. So here's my little button of silver. It's only about 1 gram, sort of a proof of concept, but it worked. But I've got a whole lot of liquid here, and I got a feeling I'm going to get more than 1 gram of silver out of it once I start the cementation process. But first I got to get it all filtered, and that's probably going to take a little while. So I won't make you watch the whole thing. Alright? I'll be back. Okay, so some of you may be thinking, how does he know there's any silver in this stuff? Well, let me get a little bit of this liquid off of here. There's a little bit of distilled water in this beaker down here just to dilute it. This shows up much better if you dilute it a bit, because this is a very acidic mixture up here. And I'm going to add a little bit of, I've got some hydrochloric acid here, or muriatic acid, whatever you want to call it. Just a few drops in there. That milky white precipitate forming, that's silver chloride. So yes, there is some silver in here. And I'm gonna have probably close to 1 gallon of this liquid, so there should be enough silver to recover. And I'm probably gonna do another extraction on this stuff over here because it's still bubbling down there. So all of the base metals are not yet in solution. So I've really ramped up my IC processing. This is probably 10 pounds of ICs in this bucket before I incinerated them, pulverized them, and did a gravity separation on them. There's a lot of IC debris in there. What I will probably do is divide it up into smaller batches and do a second treatment with nitric and sulfuric acid to make sure all the base metals are dissolved before I go after the gold in there. So I'll have even more of this liquid after the second extraction. So rather than discard it in my acid waste bucket, I'm going to try and get the silver out of it first. And like I said, I tried this on a small scale, worked like a charm. We're going to scale up and see how it goes. Alrighty, that took a long time because there was a lot of solids in this stuff. I had to filter it twice to get a nice, clean, clear liquid. And here, I'll show you what the filter looks like from the second filtration. Ooh, that's in there tight. There we go. Look at that. That's for the second filtration. It was still pretty dirty. All right, but now we got a nice, clean, clear blue liquid with at least some silver in it. And what I got over here is a tall form beaker with a coil copper wire in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this in here. And then I'm going to put a watch glass on top because this has been a weird year. 2020 has been weird on so many levels. We've got love bugs. They've never gone away. We have a spring love bug season and a winter and an autumn love bug season. It's been love bug season all freaking year, okay? They get in everything. Anyway, so got the liquid in here, got the coil in the liquid, and we're just gonna let this sit and let the silver that's in the solution cement out on the copper. The copper is more reactive. It's higher up on the reactivity series than silver is. So what's going to happen is copper is going to go into solution and replace the silver. The silver is going to come out of solution, plate itself onto the copper, and then fall to the bottom. So that's what I'm hoping happens anyway. I've done this a couple times on a small scale, and that's what's happened. It's not a super fast process. I think I'll set up my GoPro and see if I can get a time lapse of it happening. And we'll see what we get. Okay guys, it's the next day. That time lapse I just showed you was about an hour and a half, and then I got busy with other stuff, and time got away from me, and before I knew it was getting dark. So I just let this sit overnight. So it's the next day. Yeah, there is a lot of cement silver in here. They call it cement silver because it kind of looks like wet cement. Anyway, there's still a lot of it hanging off of the coil there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake the coil, break the stuff loose, and I'm going to let it settle, which is going to take a little while now because I've got it all stirred up and the liquid's all turbid. But I'm going to let it settle, pull the coil out and rinse it off. Let the silver settle, and then what I will do is I'll siphon off the liquid and siphon off the bulk of the liquid and leave the accumulated silver at the bottom. And then I will transfer the accumulated silver into a smaller beaker and start washing it with boiling distilled water washes to try and get as much of the base metal salts out of it as I can. So that's how you produce cement silver, and I'll show you some of the other steps in the process as I do it. And I may wait until I get the silver from this second batch of liquid down here from extracting the IC chip, extracting the base metals from the IC chip mud there. So I've got at least probably another 2 liters of liquid there. And this might even be richer in silver than the first batch because the other base metals in there, the copper, the iron, the tin, they probably would have gone into solution quicker than the silver because they're more reactive. So there might be more silver in this second batch of liquid than there was in the first. So, but I am gonna start washing it and cleaning it up, and then once I have it all together, I'll melt it down and make a bead and see how much silver we got. Oh, and I forgot to mention up front, if you're going to do this, you got to make sure you neutralize any active nitric acid in this liquid. Otherwise, the silver, once it cements out on the coil, as soon as it detaches from the coil under its own weight or whatever and floats away, it'll start redissolving in the liquid if there's active nitric acid there. So you have to denox this just like you would denox a solution before you drop the gold out of it. And then you'll get the silver to accumulate. Otherwise, it'll just fall off the coil and then redissolve. So, all right, let me get to work on cleaning this up. And I got to I got to clean up this second batch of liquid. I'm pretty sure the extraction is done. I haven't seen any more bubbling. So I think the second extraction is done, and all the base metals are out of that icy chip mud down there. So once I get that liquid off of it and rinse the mud, I can go after the gold in the mud. And I have other videos on how I do that, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. You know, this is just about the silver, which, you know, the silver is not terribly valuable, not compared to the gold. So why am I going after the silver, some of you may be asking. Well, what did Sir Edmund Hillary say? Because it's there. That, and it's not, you know, it's not taking that much extra effort or expense to get it. I mean, I didn't need any extra chemicals to get it. I didn't need any equipment beyond what I already have. I just needed a coil of wire, of copper wire. That's it. Just a coil of copper wire. And got silver. So, and the silver does have some value. You know, it is not nearly as valuable as gold, and I'm not going to be getting a huge amount of it here, maybe just a couple grams at the most. But it always looks like more than it is. But you know, all that cement silver down there, that's all fluffy. It'll compact down into a very small amount of silver. But silver has its uses. I could use it for inquarting karat gold and purifying it. I could use it for other things. It's a very useful material. So some of you who have watched a lot of my videos know I am a gold prospector and gold panner, and in the house there I've got a little vial full of gold nuggets and flakes and flour gold that I've collected on the creeks and streams of the West over, you know, years and years and years. And if I ever decided I wanted to purify that, I could inquart it with the silver I'm getting here and then purify it and get pure gold out of it. So the silver has uses. So I'm going to just go ahead and collect it from now on rather than just discard it. Okay, so here's the silver, cement silver from the first extraction. I've got to deal with the second batch of liquid, but I'm going to go ahead and rinse this a couple of times and get the copper salts out of it that are tinting it blue here, the liquid. So I'll give it a couple of rinses with boiling distilled water and clean it up. And then once I get the silver from the second batch of liquid, I'll combine them together and we'll see what we got. So here's a nice clean cement silver after lots of boiling distilled water washes. I'm not 100% certain that distilled water is required for the washes, but I had a fair amount of it on hand, so I used it. So, okay, so this is from the first batch of liquid. I've got another more than 2 liters of liquid up here I need to extract the silver from. Then I'll combine it with this and we'll see how much we got. Alright, here I am filtering the second batch of liquid to come off the mud down there. In fact, I'm already processing the mud for gold. That's what's going on back here. I'm probably going to divide it up into about 4 different batches because there's a lot of it. And well, that orange fume color tells me gold's going into solution, so that's good. I've already also done a stannous chloride test on it. I'm getting gold, so that's good. Now, I learned a little bit. Rather than filter this liquid twice, which took quite a while, what I did was I just let it sit in a beaker for about half a day, siphoned the liquid off the top, and filtering it once. So I'm getting nice clean liquid down there without having to filter it twice. And, you know, just letting it sit, not that difficult. I can go about my business doing other stuff. And I know there's silver in this stuff because I just did a test with some of the liquid and some hydrochloric acid. So we got that milky white precipitate. So we got silver in there. I'm hoping even more than the first time around, but I'll take whatever I can get. So once I get all this liquid filtered, copper coil will go back into it and we'll leave it for a day or so and see how much more silver we get. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here we are. Here's the second batch of liquid off of the icy chip mud with all of the base metals in it, including silver. And here we go with the coil of copper. And we'll see what we get this time. I'll try and do another time lapse. And I'll probably leave this until tomorrow. Leave it overnight again, just to get the most of the silver out of it that I can. Alright, it's the next day. Here's the second batch of silver I've recovered. I wanted to get a picture of it before I took the coil out because it was just the stalagmites and stalactites of silver hanging down the coil were amazing, but I bumped the table and it all started falling off. So let me let it settle, siphon off the liquid, and I'll just get a picture of the cement silver in the bottom of the beaker. So I've got to transfer this into a smaller beaker and start cleaning it, and then I'll combine it with the stuff that I got yesterday, and we'll see how much silver we've got. And by the way, I've been working in parallel. The silver processing is really, just basically a lot of waiting around, so I've been working on other stuff. So I've got the first batch of gold that I recovered from that icy mud here. And I've got at least that much more gold that I'm going to recover in the second batch. So that's good. But this video isn't about the gold. I got plenty of videos about gold. This video is about the silver. So I am going to get this transferred to a smaller beaker and start washing it and cleaning it up. Get rid of that blue color. Well, here's today's haul of silver after rinsing. And there's yesterday's haul. So I was hoping to get more today, but I don't think I did. It's hard to tell. They're piled in the beaker a little differently. I think I got maybe about the same amount, probably slightly less than yesterday. And still, this is a fair amount of cement silver. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine them together, give them one last rinse just to make sure it's good and clean, dry out the powder, and then I'll melt it down into a button and we'll see what we got. Okay, I'm all ready to melt down the silver to make a button. Let me show you what I got after I dried it out here. It's not as impressive looking dry. It's nice and fluffy wet. As a dry powder, it compacts a little bit. It's going to compact a little bit more. Actually, it's going to compact quite a bit more when I melt it down here and make a button. Get it all in my silver melting crucible. I almost grabbed my gold melting crucible by mistake, but then I noticed the faint band of purple around the top, which is from vaporized gold redepositing on it, and I also saw a little tiny little gold bead in it, and I thought, this is the wrong crucible. Where's my silver melting crucible? This is the silver one. Don't want to contaminate the silver with gold. Alright, so there's all the silver in the crucible. going to put a little bit of anhydrous borax on it. The crucible has been used before. It's already been glazed with borax, so I don't need to use a whole lot of borax. Just a little pinch. All right, let me get goggles ready to go because this is going to be bright. Get my torch lit. Don't need a huge flame for this, but I need a good hot flame. And let's just heat this stuff up. Slowly and gently at first, so we don't thermally shock the crucible or blow the silver powder all over the place. Once the borax starts melting and sticks everything together, then I can get the flame down closer to it and get it to melt quicker. Oh yeah, that's bright. Looks like the borax is starting to melt. Yeah, some of the silver is actually starting to melt now too. So this is going to melt down into a lot of little silver beads, and I'm going to have to consolidate them into one. I do that a little with the torch, but it's much easier just to grab the crucible. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let me get some of these small beads around the edge consolidated in. Okay. All right. Had a few seconds to solidify. That's a pretty big bead. That's going to weigh a couple 3 grams maybe. Let's see. Looks like it's solidified. There we go. There's our bead. That's a pretty big bead. What I'm going to do is, it's got a film of borax on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a quick boil in some dilute sulfuric acid just to dissolve away all of the borax, and then I'll weigh it up and we'll see how much silver we got. Alrighty, so here's our nice shiny silver bead. Nice and shiny. And what did I say? Like 2.5, 3 grams, something like that? Yeah, it's a pretty good guess. It's a bit windy here. Got a storm coming in. So the wind is blowing the scale around, but it seems to settle around 3.03 grams. So that's what I'm going to call it. 3.03 grams of silver. So it's probably not perfectly pure silver. There's probably got some copper contamination in it, and maybe some other base metal stuff in it too. Heck, it might even have a little gold in it. So it's not perfectly pure silver, but I would say it's probably, upwards of 95% pure probably. So pure enough for my purposes, which would be using it to in-quart carat gold. Let me put this other little bead on here. This was my sort of proof of concept bead, that little one there. So altogether I've got just shy of 4.5 grams of silver. So that's nice. Now it's going to blow around again. All right, well, this is a nice little sideline I've got going here. It's not really taking any extra expense and not a whole lot of extra work to recover the silver from the waste that I'm generating when I'm recovering gold from IC chips. So that's great. I can get silver as well as the gold. I hope you found this informative. or at least entertaining. And give me a like, subscribe, and so you can see future videos. And thanks for watching. Keep it safe out there. Bye.